Bill Porter is in his 5th year as a superintendent of Mentor Public Schools. He's spent more than 30 years serving Northeast Ohio communities as an educator, also in the roles of assistant superintendent, director of K-8 education, principal, assistant principal, teacher of English, and coach. Bill is very involved in the nationally known League of Innovative Schools, and he earned the John Weiss Lake County Administrator of the Year Award as its first ever recipient in 2011. Mr. Porter completed both his undergraduate work and master's degrees at John Carroll University before earning his superintendent's license. He has lived in Mentor Schools District for over 30 years with his wife Marie of 34 years, who is also an educator. Together they have raised a loving family with 4 daughters, Jackie, Nicole, Michelle, and Danielle, and son-in-law Joe. I'm going to take a little creative license here and say a couple other things about Mr. Porter. All of us had no idea what was coming a couple of years ago, and I think all of us thought we wouldn't be where we are today as we're dealing with the pandemic. No one is immune from it. However, I would say that running a significantly large school system through these very difficult to navigate waters is not to go without significant recognition. I've had the honor of working directly with Mr. Porter and his team. A high-performing team like this requires a very, very talented and steadfast leader. So I am very honored to be able to introduce to all of you, if you don't already know him, Mr. William Porter.
Thank you, Joe. That's very kind. I'm going to take a couple of adjustments here. The sound okay now? Okay, very good. Thank you, Joe, for the very kind comments. That was very heartfelt. Thank you. Hello, and thank you for being here today. I want to thank Chris Weber and the Mentor Area Chamber of Commerce for providing this opportunity to update the business community with the State of the Schools Luncheon again this year. I also would like to thank all of the sponsors. Your heartfelt, kind words are very much appreciated. And it's really good to be back doing this in person. Last year, if you remember, we did this virtually for a year, which was necessary for that short term, but it's good that we're starting to do more and more things in person this year, and let's hope more of that to come. I also want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here today for this important event. So thank you. Additionally, some thank yous, now it's this afternoon, to introduce our board members, some of whom are in attendance today. And if you could please stand when I mention your name. Our Vice President, Mr. Tom Tuttle. Recently elected board member, Jenny Jessling. Newly elected board member, Annie Payne. And not able to join us today, our board president, Mary Briner, and newly elected board member, Maggie Cook. If we can give a round of applause for our board, please. Trust me, their support is crucial for our success day in and day out. So thank you. Today, I also would like to introduce to you our new Chief Financial Officer, Bill Wade. Bill began his new role here in August, replacing Dan Wilson, who had worked many years here, and Dan retired this past spring. Many of you already really know Bill. His previous experience in Mentor Schools included being the high school principal here several years back, and more recently, the Director of Business Operations. He's also served as a superintendent in Kirtland Schools, and so he really brings a unique perspective to the CFO position here in Mentor, and we're really glad to have Bill back here in Mentor. Bill. Our number one goal in Mentor Schools is to provide a safe learning environment where students can grow academically, socially, and emotionally. We use this framework, as you probably often, if you've heard me speak, to help ensure we meet our goals. The plan is developed around 4 components of the vision statements which you can see on any of the screens here at Paradigm. This was created as a 5-year plan with input from our community as well as our own staff. And we've constantly updated and adjusted this plan as needed. Next fall, it's going to be time again to look at the plan more in depth. Many of you in the room were part of that initial strategic planning, and we hope we can count on you again as we dive into the revisit of the plan in the 22-23 school year. Today, I would like to look at each category in our strategic plan, and make sure that you understand the things that we've done this past year as well as the things that we have out ahead of us. I would also like to make sure to recognize at this time our administrative team who helped to operationalize the plan. Would our administrative team members in the room please stand and be recognized? First thing we're going to talk about from the plan is school safety. The umbrella of school safety is such an important focus for us, and this not only includes the physical safety, but the social emotional safety as well. We know safety is a fundamental need. Everything else kind of functions once that safety is in place. Our work in these areas continues to grow in scope and sophistication as we continually seek to improve. Safety has been at the forefront of all that we've been doing the last 2 years because of the pandemic. We were hoping for a return to normal this school year, but instead we've kept most of our mitigation strategies in place, including our mask requirement, at least until now, at least until recently. We need to start showing a steadily declining number of cases, and so we hope that's begun these last few weeks. Our efforts also included improving indoor air quality, expecting that everyone is vigilantly assessing for symptoms, encouraging good hand hygiene, and much, much more. Just when we thought we were seeing reprieve from COVID cases in our community over the summer, this current surge that hopefully we're coming out of had just started to begin. The number of people we had absent for COVID-related matters and other typical seasonal illnesses has been challenging, both from a staffing standpoint for day-to-day operations, as well as for families needing to keep their children home from school. And schools are not alone. I'm sure you're seeing it in many of your own businesses and all around our community. We're appreciative of the many people supporting our efforts as we work together to minimize disruption to students' learning. Our goal this year has been to stay open to in-person learning as much as humanly possible, and other than for a few brief exceptions, we've been able to do just that. I'm also beyond proud of the way our team of educators and support staff have stepped up to fill in wherever necessary and to find creative solutions to various challenges during the last 3 school years, which have all been impacted by COVID one way or another. Our Mentor Teachers Association, our Mentor Classified Association, our building administrators, and the small groups of exempt employees have really done outstanding work. I know a few of these folks are in the room. If they could please stand at this time and be recognized. After having 2,000 students enrolled in our Mentor Schools online program last year, a large number of families opted for a return to in-person learning this year. Still, we offered the online program to grades K through 6 and currently have about 120 students still enrolled. We chose this age range because for the first half of this school year, these students were not eligible for vaccination, which was a choice many families were waiting for. Speaking of the COVID-19 vaccine, our essential workers were eligible to receive their doses rather early during the rollout. We hosted vaccination clinics with the Lake County General Health Department for area educators, and we saw a great turnout from this event with more than 1,200 people participating, the vast majority being from mentor schools. I know I've mentioned how truly wonderful our staff has been, but on the screen you're seeing some video of our school nurses working at the clinic. The school nurses and the health techs in the district have done a tremendous job helping us navigate the pandemic. They've been a great support for our colleagues, our students, and all of our families along the way. Now to the more traditional topics of school safety, and that's the physical safety of our students, staff, and school buildings. And the kind of things you'd think about would be the fire drills, tornado drills, active shooter drills, and more. Our work in this area would not be possible without our extremely strong partnership with Mentor Police and Mentor Fire and their chiefs Ken Gunsch and Bob Searles. Also, City Manager Ken Filipiak joins our meetings regularly to keep school safety at the forefront of our community's priorities. Ken, and Bob, if you're in the room, I would ask if you could please stand so we can thank you for all you do for our schools. Together, we make it a point to conduct an array of safety drills, from fire drills to full-scale active shooter drills. And when we do these, we learn a lot from them every single time. This year, we conducted a large tabletop drill. We had staff representatives from each school building working through a real-time scenario, an emergency, which happened this time to be a tornado scenario that was damaging the school and causing injuries. And there were firefighters and police officers working with each building group, which is invaluable for our personnel to get that dedicated time with our first responders. Let's take a minute to listen in.
Really happy to be here with everybody. This is probably our 7th or 8th year, I think, that we started doing our joint trainings together. And it really has established a good framework of how we need to respond when a critical incident will happen at the school. Getting to know each other, getting to know the command structure and how you set that up. I think it's really important for that, and that's something you should really consider today.
Again, whenever we come to these exercises, it helps our community response a lot, and it also enhances the relationship that we have. We get to see names and faces, so when we're coming to your school or we're coming to a sporting event, you know, we recognize some of the players, if you will, from the school, and those relationships just allow us to work a lot better.
As the chiefs mentioned, events like these help us understand each other better and build strong relationships that make us even stronger when we face actual emergencies, which we have experienced in the past, such as bus accidents, or even earlier this year, a gas leak at the high school. Another safety aspect both Mentor Police and Mentor Fire are essential in helping us with is threat assessment for our schools. We count on their help evaluating threats of violence toward our school or among students. And this can happen 24/7, 365. But recently, we're diving deeper into our threat assessment work with administrators and support staff across the district, focusing on more of the social and emotional red flags we see in a student that can and should be addressed before something happens. Sandy Hook Promises Know the Signs program is a guide for our work. The program is based on the knowledge that oftentimes people who are at risk of hurting themselves or others show warning signs before an act of violence takes place. How do we spot these warning signs and properly document them? And how do we communicate them to our teams and those who need to know? The program also encourages an anonymous reporting system, which we've had in place for students in the community for years. We've also had online monitoring of our student devices for several years now, including emails and Google searches, which often provide valuable information that is helpful to threat assessment. When it comes to social and emotional supports for our students, along with having full-time staff members dedicated to this area of expertise, like school counselors and psychologists. We also continue to partner with many outside experts in the field, such as Namie and Crossroads. For Mentor Schools, Namie is the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and they've done a number of age-appropriate presentations for our 6th through 12th graders, specifically sharing a message that depression is treatable and suicide is preventable. The experts provide tips on what students might notice in a peer who is experiencing an issue and how to help. Namie has also very graciously held events for parents to hear these important messages and have had an opportunity to ask questions. Crossroads continues to be a wonderful partner for us as well. And we now have Crossroads counselors in all of our elementary schools full-time. This frees up some of our full-time school counselors to focus on secondary age students and not have to split their time. The Crossroads experts have been especially helpful in providing trauma training for our staff. They also help our students lead youth summit events where they choose some very tough topics to discuss with other secondary age students from across Lake County. Students are able to talk about substance abuse, mental health issues, suicide awareness, just to name a few topics. This peer-to-peer modeling is so powerful and so engaging for the youth. The peer model is also used in many of our bullying prevention initiatives. We work hard to build cultures of kindness, compassion, and acceptance throughout all of our schools. Along with everyday expectations in our classrooms, this also happens through a variety of extra programming, such as Rachel's Challenge, kindness rallies, the Stick Together program, and student ambassadors. And although this one is not a peer-to-peer, the anti-bullying rally you're seeing on the screen was very engaging for our high school students. Professional BMXers performed high-energy shows while speaking to our students about bullying prevention and overcoming obstacles. The themes included being kind, compassionate, and inclusive, surrounding oneself with positive influences, problem solving, and being an ally against bullying, and even encouraging students to report issues to trusted adults in the school. Creative, high-energy lessons like these can be very memorable for our students, so we're very glad to have had this presentation for Mentor High School. There's one more topic I want to quickly touch on before we move away from safety, and it was mentioned briefly a few minutes ago, and that's the cybersecurity event we hosted here earlier this year along with U.S. Representative Dave Joyce. It was designed for area schools, organizations, and businesses. Experts from the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency connected local leaders with tools and resources to combat these ever-evolving threats. And it definitely gave us all a lot to think about in the always changing tech landscape. Our next goal, and the reason that we're here, is to provide a high-quality education for our community's children. We do this by having an incredibly dedicated and hardworking staff, working with our students each day in all of our schools and classrooms. Beyond the reading, writing, and arithmetic basics, we strive to provide opportunities for students to become well-rounded with related arts lessons, elective choices, clubs, activities, support services, and much more. That happens every day. So today, with all of you here, I will try to highlight some of the educational initiatives that are a little bit more business-focused for our chamber audience. We continue to focus on making sure career and college pathways are available for students. While the large majority of our students will choose to continue their education after graduation, we know the traditional four-year college is not for everyone. If a student knows what they want to do for a career, specialized training or credentials may be a better route to take. On the other hand, about a dozen students graduate high school with an associate's degree, already having earned college credit through College Credit Plus courses, and hundreds more will have enough college credits under their belt to earn a full college degree in less than 4 years. We try to meet the needs of students' exposure to careers and opportunities through elective course offerings and also creative events, like having guest speakers talk to middle schoolers about their careers or hosting career expos and job fairs at the high school. Beginning in middle school, we also have tools to help students identify natural strengths and interests so they can better understand what kinds of jobs might appeal to them later. One of the best ways to show the real-world, hands-on learning opportunities is looking at our menu of more than 20 career tech programs. Most of these are 2-year courses where students gain valuable experience working in a field they're interested in for their professional careers, or sometimes they learn they're not interested in after going through some of the training. And that's better to learn certainly sooner than later, and that can save valuable time and money. Students can also earn college credit through our career tech courses as well. They are high demand courses, and currently about 25% of our Mentor High School seniors are enrolled in some form of career technical education programming. A list of the courses we offer with a brief description is included in the quality profile that's at the table. One brand new career tech course that I do want to mention individually is our Mentor Fire EMT Academy. In collaboration, again, with the City of Mentor and the Mentor Fire Department, our Mentor Fire EMT Academy is a 1-year program where students explore health and safety careers such as firefighting and EMT or paramedic work. This program was developed in partnership with the City of Mentor in response to a growing need for first responders in our community. And this is taught by retired Mentor firefighter Jerry Craddock. And looking at the video, you would never know this course is only in its first year. Already, it's becoming something very special. We are also very proud of our work-based and life skills programming for our students with special needs. Through the Cardinal Works program, formerly known as the Cardinal Lab, adult-age students learn critical employment and independent living skills through community partnerships, including running a school spirit wear storefront and community donation Cardinal Closet for families in need. Students work at job sites all around town. Places include Lakeland Community College, Menards, Amazon, Tri-Point, Cleveland Clinic, Lake Health, Home Depot, and small local businesses, just to name a few. Next year, we are expanding Cardinal Works to juniors and seniors as well, and by focusing on this at an earlier level, that will build the skills of employability, daily living, and interpersonal skills that much sooner. Our team supporting Cardinal Works is doing an excellent job helping students find their passions and success, as you can hear directly from one of our own students.
It prepares me for a full-time job out in the community. I would like to work at Dick's Sporting Goods because it has lots of cool sports equipment there where you can stock a lot of equipment and stuff. My job sites are Unique Like Me, Meals on Wheels, Tri-Point, and Grace Church.
One more note about Cardinal Works. It was selected as one of the most innovative programs in the country for how it promotes equity for students, and we were invited to present about it at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. for the League of Innovative Schools. And the program was showcased at the Ohio School Boards Association conference in the past as well. And we do continue to be an active member of the National League of Innovative Schools. Just last week, the League's new director visited Mentor High School to see our work in person. Our district was one of the first selected to represent the state of Ohio. Since then, the League has grown into a coalition of 125 forward-thinking school districts providing collaboration opportunities for educators to bring new and innovative instructional practices to life in classrooms around the country. That benefits millions of students nationally, including all of our own. You may remember Mentor Schools a few years back was selected to host educators from all across the country for a learning visit, and we were able to showcase classrooms in every single one of our schools. Right now, we are channeling some of our innovative approaches to help close some of the learning gaps that have surfaced. I would be remiss if I did not mention, in regard to COVID-19, even with our very best efforts, the pandemic has led to achievement gaps in some students' learning. This is reflected in data from the state, but also we're tracking student progress through our own benchmark data, where students are assessed in reading and math throughout the course of the year. Our local data is much more timely and helps us make decisions to identify if students are at risk and need targeted intervention, or when students need enrichment sooner. We have a number of ways we've begun to address the learning gaps, but one making an impact already is our use of ESSER funding, which is COVID relief funding, to hire additional teachers who are working specifically with providing structured, research-based intervention to help students who need that extra help. We are using student-specific benchmark data to determine who's in need of these targeted interventions in each school building at each level. There's certainly still a lot of work to do to ensure that each student is caught up, but we're already seeing some promising gains. Also worth mentioning, educational opportunities are not just for our students. It's important that our adult team has professional development to remain ahead of the curve. We have offered a blend of in-person and virtual training sessions for our staff this year and last. One area that many of our staff received training in revolved around diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is work that has continued here since at least the early 2000s. It is essential that each student feels safe and valued, especially when they are in our care. Also, as many of you know from your businesses, we are preparing our students to live, work, and even compete in a more diverse world. As we move on to our next category, please know that none of the things we're doing in our district happen without our ability to maximize our resources. Beyond our funding, this includes how we manage resources like staff or our facilities and many more things. One key indicator we have kept in mind throughout this is our enrollment. Our staffing ties to enrollment. How many classrooms and buildings we need is based on enrollment, and many other decisions that we make. I'd like to show enrollment two ways. On the screen now is enrollment by building. We have about 7,332 students, and we're at a very healthy building capacity usage rate right now in all of the buildings after our right-sizing work in the district back in 2018. And here's a look at enrollment by grade level, which shows our continued declining enrollment in Mentor. Enrollment did peak in Mentor in the mid-90s and has been steadily declining since, but our projections show a gradual leveling happening soon, and we're beginning to see signs of that. We attribute this to people enjoying their homes in Mentor so much, they stay there long after their school-age children graduate. The state doesn't count our preschool students as part of our enrollment, but we certainly do. Our integrated preschool program has grown, and we'd love to grow it more. Students with special needs become eligible for public preschool services at age 3, and our program works by placing students with special needs in classrooms with typically developing peers. One resource we have put to good use over the last 2 years is moving the integrated preschool program into the former Garfield Elementary School. This has allowed us to grow a little bit, as I mentioned before, and even though Garfield's classrooms were a bit small for elementary classes, they are a perfect fit for preschool classrooms. It is also extremely beneficial to have our whole preschool staff in one building so they can work together, rather than placing preschool classrooms wherever we have space. This is a great program to help each student get acclimated to Mentor schools, Let's hear now from our coordinator of the program.
The nice thing about having the integrated program is obviously we do have the typical peer models to be good examples of that language development, but our special needs students that are in the program also help our typical peers learn about an all-inclusive, society and program. So they're learning how different people learn differently and working with them one-on-one. And we also have, a few students that have some significant handicaps. Some are wheelchair bound, some are nonverbal. So our typical peers and all of the students are able to see some of the different equipment that they might not see when they go to a different program.
We are also using Garfield Elementary this year for our Mentor Schools Online teachers who have a classroom, each of them have a classroom on the second floor, and are bringing our online students in person individually or in very small groups occasionally for the second semester as part of that MSO, Mentor Schools Online, learning plan. Some other exciting news in classroom improvements to share today. Ever since we received the $13.8 million Straight A grant fund, which funded certainly the building here, Paradigm, that we're sitting in, but also classroom modernization at Mentor High School, we've been strategically renovating classrooms by grade level year by year across the district. This year, we are nearing the end of that project with the kindergarten and first grade classrooms. Soon, all of our classrooms will have been brought up to date as learning spaces that better serve today's students and teachers. Speaking of capital improvements, the district owns a total of 16 properties, valued at just over $257 million. These facilities are assets to our community and are well maintained via a 5-year permanent improvement plan with projects funded based on established need. Beyond the classroom remodels, we've done a number of other large projects recently. Some are very noticeable, like the softball fields and the concessions and bathrooms, to service our campus for extracurricular and community activities. And others not so noticeable, like the high school roof. We also added a beautiful outdoor art classroom space this year. The upgrades to our fields was a need to be in compliance with Title IX and to provide equity for our boys and girls athletes. The bathrooms and concessions allow us to host Ohio High School Athletic Association tournaments, which bring in funding for the athletic department. They also serve so many community youth programs that request use of our fields. We do have a permanent improvement levy on the books dating back to 1988 that brings in just over $1 million a year for these types of projects. But with our aging buildings and the cost of everything going up since 1988, that is not enough to cover all of the work. We've planned for some general fund spending to cover the costs of the 5-year capital improvement plan so our facilities can continue to meet our needs. Even with the federal COVID relief funds during last fiscal year, the negative impact of extra expenses related to COVID-19 crisis was $2.4 million. Last school year was the 18th consecutive year that the district underspent its budget. However, because of how schools are funded, the school district inevitably began to start deficit spending this past year and is not projecting a balanced budget by the time we reach the end of the 5-year fiscal forecast. With that information, Mr. Wade and I have begun discussions with the board and the Citizens Financial Advisory Committee about the timeline for future levy needs. In the meantime, we continue to find alternative revenue sources and have been awarded more than $570,000 in competitive grants this year alone. This includes Innovative Workforce Incentive Program grants, $80,000 for the Mentor Fire EMT Academy, $292,000 for our Advanced Manufacturing Program, and a 2022 equity grant for $200,000 for our Cardinal Works program. A resource that many Mentor Schools families have used over the last 2 years because of USDA funding. All children in our community are eligible to receive free breakfast and lunch meals at no cost to families. Since September, we have served more than 267,000 reimbursable lunches and 179,000 breakfasts. Last year, we served more than 400,000 grab-and-go meals for families. Before we move to our final category, I want to take a moment to celebrate our students. Thanks to our supportive community, beyond the curricular opportunities, we offer more than 60 clubs, activities, and sports at the high school alone, more than 25 at the middle school level, and many different ones at our elementary buildings. So there's a lot here to celebrate. Here are some of the highlights presented or available since I presented last year. Mentor had 2 individual state champion athletes. Paige Floria was state champion in all 4 of her track events, long jump and the 100, 200, and 400 meter dashes. And they only limit you to 4 events because I think she could have won more. Tori Lanice earned a state championship in the high jump. The girls' track team became the first in school history to bring home the team state championship trophy. 600 new Cardinal alums left the nest at graduation, and we were able to give them a traditional commencement ceremony with everyone coming together at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse last June. We were also able to bring back our military commitment ceremony and honor our seniors heading into the various branches with proper recognition for putting service before self. We had more AP Scholar recipients than ever before, and state qualifying Science Olympiad teams. We saw award-winning artists and musicians, and we shared the joy of our students' music through live broadcasts that reached hundreds of people. One of our students won a Lake Tran Rep the Bus competition and got to see her artwork come to life when it literally drove past her own home. She earned quite the jump start on her graphic design portfolio. And talking about a theme from last year, that the show must go on, our theater students faced delays and rehearsal cancellations, but put on a marvelous performance last spring and again this fall. The list could go on and on. We have so much to be proud of in the Mentor Public Schools. But the final category I would like to celebrate before I leave you today is community partnerships, for which we are so grateful. Our PTAs, as a start, have done a tremendous job adapting their plans to continue to support our students, staff, and schools. They have found creative ways to host fun events and fundraisers. PTAs are always an important part of our schools, but they've really gone above and beyond to find those silver linings and bring happiness into our school communities over the past couple of years, and we're so appreciative to them. Beyond the PTAs, parents and guardians all across the district have gone the extra mile in so many different ways the past few years. Their support has been incredible. I'm also a believer that a positive school climate and work environment is also a more productive one. And our employee teams conduct state-of-the-team conversations to drive meaningful change. We continue to work with Gallup to measure employee engagement in this process. And for the second year, we will give the Bright Bites Whole Child Survey to get a better idea of how our children feel in our schools on a variety of topics, including safety, discipline, the school environment, and their learning. We look forward to consistently giving this survey to build trend data that we can review and be intentional about what improvements need to be made in our schools. There are so many partnerships I want to mention, from all of you who make our career expos and financial literacy events happen, to our students having access to all of the library's resources and Lake Tran's local routes. Together, we have developed some unique and awesome partnerships that truly make a difference in the lives of our students each day. After all the talking I've done today, I thought it might be better for you to hear directly from our students.
We are so grateful for our community partners who help make school extra special. Thank you for everything you do to support us.
Both inside and outside of school.
We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Mentor Public Library, for my library card. I love checking out books. It is so fun.
And thanks for opening the hub after school too. It's awesome to be able to stay and study. And I love using the makerspace.
Thank you, Cardinal Credit Union, for the opportunity to work as a bank teller right here inside of Mentor High School. I'm learning so much.
Thank you, Lake Tran, for helping me get wherever I need to go around town. You have made my life easier not worrying how I will get to work and activities.
Thank you, Mentor Rotary, for throwing this amazing Christmas party. The hay run was nice, and I liked seeing Santa.
Thank you to the Lake County General Health District and Commissioner Ron Grimm for helping our schools navigate the challenges with COVID-19. Thank you for helping keep our schools, students, and staff safe.
Speaking of school safety, thank you Mentor Police and Mentor Fire for everything you do to keep our schools safe, like inspecting our buildings, developing safety plans, and walking our buildings daily. We see you.
Thank you, Mentor Schools Foundation, for providing all the books for One School, One Book last year district-wide. We love story time.
Thank you, Lake Health, for all that you do in partnership with our schools. I can't imagine having to drive out to Geneva every day for swim practice, so our amazing pool is definitely my favorite part of our work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mentor Area Chamber of Commerce, for helping to organize job fairs and expos that allow me to meet with potential employers. Thank you for the scholarship opportunities, too.
Our list of thank yous could certainly go on and on.
We have so much community support.
And that definitely makes Mentor Schools a great place to learn.
Once a card, always a card. Thank you!
The students could not have said it better. And I know after their speaking, I know it's time to wrap up because I'm the only thing standing in the way of your lunch right now, I think. But I want to thank you again for your continued support of Mentor Schools. I also need to thank Kristen Kirby, our Communications Director, and Liz Rutkowski, Cable Programming Specialist, for their help with today's presentation. We will be around afterwards for anyone wanting to stop up, ask any questions, or chat. Thank you again very much.